Attorney Injong, would you like to make a statement or kasi go ahead, sige, susunod kita.
Well, sir, we must be I've been interfacing with government for about 2 decades, more than 2 decades.
Okay.
The problem is, it is really very rewarding to smuggle and import. And the reason for that is the sector has been neglected. And the height of its negligence has been reached under this present dispensation of the Department of Agriculture. I am referring to Secretary Dar. Number one, he is really pro-importation. And the latest underscoring of that stance is that he appointed an undersecretary for policy and planning who used to be the consultant of the Fishers and Aquaculture Importers Association, headed by Jess Chang. And Jess Chang used to be or until recently when he became sick, he's a friend, the president of the Meat Importers and Traders Association. And therefore, as we can see, as long as the stance of the Department of Agriculture is pro-importation, as backed up by the Department of Finance and by the National Economic Development Authority, wala ho talagang pupuntahan yung sector. Talagang hayagan ho. Kami ho, kung ganito pa rin ho next time, pagka ang Secretary of Agriculture ganito pa rin, ay mag-i-importer na rin ho talaga kami. Wala akong kakwenta-kwenta itong sekretaryo na ito. Yun lang po.
What is the name of the consultant of Secretary Dar who is...
He is now the Undersecretary for Policy and Planning,
What's it?
Fermin Adriano.
Hindi
He used to be senior consultant.
Secretary.
He used to be senior consultant of Secretary Dar. And before he was senior consultant or before he was undersecretary, based on a publication, he used to be the consultant, a consultant of the Fishers and Aqua Importers Association, whose head happened to be also the head of the Meat Importers and Traders Association, si Jess Cham. And it will not engender the kind of confidence you would normally have with a secretary who's in charge with the development of the agricultural and fishery sector. Kaya ho, if after the elections we will have if this fellow is reappointed, ay mag-i-importer na lang ho kami. Yun ho ang signal eh. Wala ho talaga tayo it is very rewarding. Smuggling and importation apparently is a very rewarding activity. Pagod na rin ho kami, magto 2.5 decades na ho kami. And you can check naman sir, you have oversight. You look at the laws, hindi naman ini-implement eh. Look at ACMA. Look at the Magna Carta for Small Farmers, yung price support. Wala eh. Pero pagdating ho dun sa proposal, kung ibabawasan yung taripa, mabilis pa sa alas 4 sa Secretary Dar eh. Saan ho tayo pupulutin? We are entering a very delicate stage in world trade. May climate change na ho. Puro disruptions na ho ang mundo. And this fellow is making us more dependent on importation. Kaya ho, if the entire government wants to attain some credibility on agriculture, we need to review everything and implement the laws. Meron naman in fairness to the Senate and the House of Representatives. Ang dami na hong batas eh. Starting with ACMA. I think ACMA was sponsored by the late Senator Angara. Hindi ho yung pinatutupad eh. For example, I will give 2 provisions, very basic. Section 13 of ACMA requires that there be a plan anchored on consultations with the sector. Wala. There are on file sa Department of Agriculture, meron daw supposedly in compliance of that. You talk to the sectors, walang plano. Sections 38 to 45 of ACMA requires that there be a national information network data so that you can update the plan, and part of it would involve trade matters and smuggling. Eh sir, pag tinanong yung NDA, magkano ngayon ang manok sa Amerika? Walang makakasagot dyan. Wholesale and retail. Something as basic as data eh. Kung hindi ho kami nagreklamo dyan nung araw eh, ni yung prices ho sa retail, hindi alam eh. May problema ho eh. The fact na something, law, ACMA, I think is 1997. Ang daming provisions ho niyan hindi pinatutupad. And that is the reason why it is very rewarding to go into smuggling and importation, and we cannot solve this through mere interdiction, sir. Importante ho yun, interdiction or law enforcement. Pero at the end of the day, we need to make our sector competitive. Palapitin muna man lang natin. Otherwise, sir, tuloy-tuloy ho yan. Kasi iba-iba ho ang pagkatao ng tao. Meron talagang halangang kaluluwa eh. I'm sorry, sir, for my blunt language, but I am tired. I am requesting relief for my organization that the next time around, hindi na akong presidente kasi I have failed.
No,
That is all, sir.
Yes, Attorney Siong, your statements are very much welcome as far as the committee is concerned. As a matter of fact, while I was listening to you, I thought I was listening to myself during our dialogue meetings in going around the country, saying na pinakamagaling magpatupad ng mga batas ay yung gumawa ng mga batas. Because we really think na hindi pinapatupad at hindi ini-implement na maayos yung mga batas eh. Yun po sinasabi namin na kaya po yun ang mga during our dialogue meetings nationwide. That's what we're saying.
But
And
there is
you are practically saying so also. And thank you for being very blunt about the other
But,
matters,
sir, if
especially
I may-
the revelation
wait.
about importers. Eh kaya naman pala gusto mag-import pati galunggong eh. Hindi ba? Ang
Sir.
bihira. Eh now, I know. Eh puro
Karapalan
importer
na, sir,
pala yung nakapaligid doon sa Department of Agriculture eh.
You can
But
take
hindi
a look
pa-
at that article, sir, with due respect. You can take a look. Nakapublish naman ho eh. Hindi naman ho tinago eh. Ibig ko sabihin, sir, kung ikaw maayos kang sekretary, bakit mo a-appoint yun? How can we, as producers, have confidence? Hindi ko sinasabing salbahe yung mama. Pero, yung in-appoint, pero delikadesa na lang. Bakit naman mag-a-appoint ka ng consultant ng importers? Paano naman kami makikipag-ugnayan sa department? Kanya hindi na ho kami ho as an organization, our board decided, hindi na ho kami nakikipag-ugnayan sa department secretary Dar. Kasi alam namin walang pupuntahan. Eh pagka ang Secretary of Agriculture ho ganito uli, o siya uli, eh kawawa ho tayo in an age of disruptions, climate change and trade disruptions. Kawawa ho itong bansa na to. I am sorry to say, sir. And they have blatant ho ang failure to enforce the laws. Kanya ho tayo nandito. Wala akong sistema eh. Data lang, wala eh. Data.
Alright.
Reasoning na kulang sa space. Granting recent history na lang ho. 2 years ago pa ho nagbigay ng pera si President Duterte para dyan. At considering naman ho na 2 taon tayong pandemic, maluwag ng galaw, dapat nakakita na ho sila ng facility ho kasi yan, inspection area. At saka ho, pwede naman ho na hindi naman kailangan 100% of all the items. Diyan ho papasok yung importance ng data, international data. Kasi ho, alam niyo ang isang history ho diyan, si Congressman, si sa agap po, hindi po, si Nicky Briones.
Nicky Briones.
2005-2006, pinayagan ho siya magdala ng mga tao dyan sa Bureau of Customs. I think yung grupo niya ho spent 9 million or 10 million pesos for 2 or 3 months. Wala ho silang mahuli kasi wala hong data. hindi nila alam kung alin yung tutukuyin. Kaya hindi mo po pwede na physical presence lang ng law enforcers. You really need data. Ako, yung mga napupuwisit sa akin sa Department of Agriculture nung araw, kasi data ako ng data, later on lang nila na-appreciate. Sabi ko, kaya kayo walang credibility. Kahit data, wala kayo eh. Trade data. Pero later naman ho, merong efforts nung panahon, last administration sana, may mga movement forward naman ho. Kanya lang, no, after nung nawala, yun nga ho, hindi ko kasi institutionalize. Depende ho doon sa tao na nakaupo. Kung medyo maayos-ayos, maganda. It is important to ma-institutionalize natin, especially the data, at kailangan publish. Kailangan nakapublish, ano presyo, para ma-minimize ho natin. Kasi negosyo ho talaga yun yung pera eh. The only way we can minimize or interdict, you really need a data system. And it is in the law. Ang problema ho, ayaw ng PA, kasalanan, it is an institutional sin of the Department of Agriculture na hindi pinaglaban yan. 25 or 26 years after ACMA, wala pa rin. Hindi ba ho yan ikinahihiyan ng Department of Agriculture as an institution? Hindi nyo pa, hindi ko sabihin, kung hindi mabigyan ng budget, maintindihan ko pa yun eh. Pero hindi naman namin nakita sa sektor. Kahit itanong nyo yung grupo ng bayan niyan sa agrikultura, sa SINAG, Alyansa Agrikultura, kahit minsan hindi namin nakita na nag-ingay ang Department of Agriculture tungkol sa data, tungkol sa plano. Basic. Mga batayang galaw ng isang departamento na responsable dapat para sa ikauunlad ng agrikultura at pangisdaan. Hindi ginagawa at sukdulan narating yan dito sa current dispensation ng Department of Agriculture. Si Secretary Dar, hayagan mo sinasabi, lalong nawala eh. Kasi walang tiwala lalo eh. Nung yung mga nakaraang sekretaryo, pwede ko pang sabihin na may mga sektor na nakikinabang. And Mr. Senate President, ang achievement ni Secretary Dar, for the first time in 2.5 decades that I have been interfacing, na-unite ang agricultural sector, ang fishery. United kami. Dati-dati kasi ang nabibira lang pa isa-isang sektor eh. Kaya hindi mabuo. It is only now na united kami.
United against the Department of Agriculture.
Yes. You can ask Raul Montemayor, you can ask Chester, you can ask Ernie Ordonez, you can ask Sendo, Rosendo. So, they know, dati-dati hindi nagkakasama dahil hindi babanatan yung rice. Chicken lang at saka pork. Inararo ho eh. Inararo. Bigas. Mais. Yung mais niya, may proposal na naman. Bigas, mais, isda, manok, baboy. Meron din proposal para sa sugar. Gulay. Saan ho tayo pupulutin bilang bansa? Ang lagi hong sinasabi, huwag kayong mag-alala kasi look at Singapore. Singapore is 90% dependent on food imports, and yet it is food secure. Yan ang sinasabi nila nung yung undersecretary ngayon na may column sa Manila Times.
Walang lupa Singapore eh.
Yun na nga ho.
Ang lapad-lapad ng Pilipinas.
Yun na nga ho. Hindi naman ho nila matatanggihan. May column mo sa Manila Times yung undersecretary niya eh, na dating consultant ng mga importer eh. Kanya ho, talagang nasalaula ho, I am categorical. Magdemanda na yung mga hayop na yan. Pero talaga hong salaula eh.
Yeah, Attorney, you keep mentioning data, no? Kami ganyan din lang lagi na mapa pandemic, mapa kung ano, data driven tayo dapat. Agree? Alam nyo, ito ay subject to validation yung figures, ano? Yung United Nations, di ba meron silang data niyan eh. Yung mga trading partners natin like US, Japan, South Korea. Di ba lumalabas? Yeah, China and US pa lang. Tama ba yung 82? VAT pa lang. Anong diferensya nawala sa atin? 86 billion. China pa lang yan. because of the difference in the export data of China to the Philippines and the import data of the Philippines from China. Isipin yung laki nawawala sa tax. Tax pa lang yun. So yun, the absence of data, talagang ominous.
Kanya ho rewarding nga ho yung importation and smuggling. It is the preferred. Yan ho si Secretary Dar, for all intents and purposes, is the Undersecretary for Importation of the NEDA and the National and the Department of Finance. I am sorry to say.
Mr. Chairman,
He is not our secretary.
Mr. Chairman, in the interest of truth, because there's a lie that's being peddled here. No? In
Well,
the interest of truth, may I say something? In the interest of truth, because we don't want lies in the Senate hearing. All right. Okay. Mr. Lacson's correct. When they want space, they want more people, they denied it. All right. Now, as the one who got private industry to get this privilege of inspecting, I asked Commissioner Guerrero, give the same to agriculture. He didn't answer. After 8 months, I wrote the Assistant Secretary of Finance. Dominguez saw it and called Commissioner Guerrero and said, call Ernie because Ernie knows smuggling. He never called me. After the Senate hearing, I called him up. I said, is it true that Dominguez called you personally to talk to me? He said, yes. Why did you talk to me? He said, because I already talked to someone else. You see, Mr. But look, I think you're a good man. But
wait.
no,
Ano daw sinagot sa'yo? Ano
he said you
sinagot
already
sa'yo
talked
kung
to
di ka
someone else,
tinawagan?
but Dominguez told him
Huh?
to talk to me. I'm the one who knows, correct? Okay.
Oh.
No, I don't want to fight him. I'm just telling this, no? He's probably a good man. He's controlled by other forces. That's why we need the private sector to come in with your persuasive powers, no? And I'm just saying this, sir, no? They treat agriculture like dogs because industry where I was, and Mr. Lacson knows this, I was in cement, etc. They give everything. Agriculture, they give nothing. And that's what I asked. That's why Dominguez got mad. They said, Ernie's just asking for the same privilege you gave industry agriculture. Talk to Ernie, he never talked to me, right? Okay, now, I'd like to say this, no? I don't blame him, naman, because there are other forces. That's why we need your perceived powers to get private sector like, Miss Balanoy and us to move in, no? I'm just saying this, no? Mr. Miravilla, you know this, you're saying that it's allowed. Come on, let's tell the truth. On December, 1.5 years ago, I talked to you and you were supporting me and they didn't pay attention to you, right? Tell the truth, right? They didn't want us to do what Mr. Lacson wants us to do, which private sector does, which is inspect, right? Okay? I mean, ayaw ko na magsisinungaling dito sa Senate. I'm not saying you're lying, Mr. Maravilla, but you're saying, pwede. Frankly, 1.5 years ago, you talked to me personally. You said it would be fine. They never did it. And you know that. I followed up with you, right? And for me, for Dominguez, to tell Guerrero to talk to me, let's talk to me for 10 months, and then he admits it on the phone after the hearing, says something. He's probably a good man, but it's controlled by other forces. That's why we cannot rely on government alone, especially if it's controlled by customs and DA. They're in cahoots, you know what I mean? We need private sector with your persuasive powers to move in so that Miss Balanoy doesn't have to beg and wait. I mean, kawawa naman siya, no? Let them be in a committee that I've recommended that is already proven. So I'd like to say this, no, for the record, it is not true that pwede. They denied us what they gave in the seat. That's why I'm saying, sir, agriculture is treated like very bad. Whereas industry, maybe they're scared, they have money, right? They treat them very well. I know both sides, di ba? Outside of cement in 6 countries, I know that. But my heart is agriculture because they are not treated properly. They're treated very badly and they're suffering. The rich like cement, they can suffer a bit more. Yaman, eh. But the farmers, you make them suffer. They go hungry. They die, right? So I'd like to say thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,